Hello children, today we are going to have our Geography Lesson 1 Resources Part 2. So here we go. So our next classification, that is the second classification of natural resource, is based on origin. Origin, how they are present in the atmosphere. So resources are either abiotic or biotic resources. Abiotic resources, which are like minerals, rock, right, land, these are abiotic resources, that is, which are present on the earth as it is, right? And biotic resources are resources which we obtain from animals or from insects or from marine animals or plants and trees. So those are called as biotic resources. Abiotic resources are examples are mineral like iron, copper, silver, aluminium. These are abiotic resources which are present in under the surface of the earth. Biotic resources are those which has been produced by living organism like plants, animals, insects. So these are known as biotic resources. Third classification of natural resource is based on distribution, like whether they are distributed in the same manner everywhere. So this distribution is also classified as localized resources and ubiquitous resource. Localized resource, it means the resource which is present in a particular area. For example, now if we take Mathur, we are all living in Mathur, we are coming to a school in Mathur. So whatever the resources are available in good quantity in Mathur, it will be called as localized resource, which is available locally. It is known as localized resource. Ubiquitous resource is a resource which is available everywhere. For example, your air, right, water, these are available everywhere. Some places it is in limited quantity, but though it is in limited quantity, it is available. Whereas minerals, certain minerals which are not available everywhere in the same quantity. So what I'm trying to say is that the distribution, how resources are spread all over the earth, that is also a classification which is based on localized or ubiquitous. Localized, the resource which is available in a particular area, in a local area, is known as localized resource. The resource which is available everywhere is known as ubiquitous resource. The final classification is based on the use of resources. Certain resources can be used again and again, and that's why they are called as a renewable resource. For example, the resources, for example, solar energy, wind energy, the power of sun can be used again and again, the power of the wind, the power of water, the power of tide. So these energies which can be used again and again are called as renewable resources. Resources which cannot be used again and again are known as non-renewable resources. Examples of non-renewable resources are coal, gold, certain minerals, because minerals they take millions of years to form under the surface of the earth, and that's why if we use one of these resources at one time, they go away. For example, your petrol, your kerosene, so diesel, these are known as non-renewable resources. Once you use it, they become exhausted, they go away, they cannot be brought back into use again and again, and that's why those resources which cannot be used again and again are known as the non-renewable resource. So non-renewable resources are those resources which cannot be used again and again. So once it has been used, it cannot be brought back because it takes millions of years to be formed under the deep inside the surface of the earth. So since it takes millions of years to be formed inside the earth, that's why these are called as non-renewable resources. So we come to know by these non-renewable and renewable classification that we do not have certain stocks of resources, and hence we need to check on the use of resources which are available to us. Since petrol is available to us, it does not mean that we go on spending it lavishly, we go on using it without any control. We should not go like that, because if we go like that, so what will happen, once the resource is all used up, we cannot use it again. So the stock of resources is another point which helps us to focus that certain resources are in limited quantity. Hence, care should be taken that these resources are given a time to get renewed, right? Our next topic is distribution of resources. So how are resources distributed? Resource distribution has a lot to go with the quality of land, climate and altitude. Terrain means the land, whether it is a mountain or is it a plateau or a desert or a valley. So it all depends upon the kind of land, and those resources will be different. Availability of resource will depend upon the type of land, the type of climate and the altitude, that is height above the sea level. So all these factors help in controlling the distribution of resources. That is why resources are somewhere it is found in too much of quantity, whereas in certain places it is not in that much of quantity because of certain factors. I told you the first factor is the type of land, second factor is the type of climate, third factor which controls the distribution of resources is altitude, that is the height above the sea level. Next we come to resource conservation. Now what is resource conservation? Resource conservation means conserving the resources which we are using at present. For example, we all know that certain resources have a limited stock, limited availability, and that's why we need to use those resources carefully and give them time to get renewed, and this is known as resource conservation. Balancing the need to use resource and also conserve them for future is called sustainable development. So here we come across two terms. One is resource conservation and the other is sustainable development. Resource conservation tells us to use resources carefully and give a chance for those resources to get renewed. This is resource conservation. Sustainable development means we know our needs are unlimited, but we can control certain needs so that not only we use the resources, but we leave certain resources to be used by our future generation, and that is why this is known as sustainable development. Now the question arises, why should we conserve resource? Because the first point is that conserving resource will help us to get those resources renewed. So some resources which we have used, if it is given a chance to get renewed, it will get renewed. So that's why we need to conserve or do sustainable use of resources. Second is that we need to follow sustainable development so that the resources are used by the future generation as well. And the third most important point is that the renewable resources are sustainable. So resources which we are using again and again, these can be given a chance to be renewed, but non-renewable resources, they do not get renewed, and that's why we need to check on how we are using a resource. Definitely we need to think about the other forms of life also, and to conserve or protect their rights, we need to use the resources economically or really very well. last point is that damage to natural environment is also balanced when we do resource conservation. If we go on cutting down trees, then we will get no rain, and without any rain, definitely there will be a lot of bad effect, not only in the lives of plants and animals and birds, but also it will affect us badly, because the quality of oxygen will go down, so purification of air will not be there, so it will help affect us in an adverse or opposite manner. That's why resource conservation is considered to be very important. So last point is, what are the principles of sustainable development? So the principles or rules of sustainable development are to have respect for all life, whether it is an insect or a bird or an animal. We need to respect everyone and use resource economically. By helping the resource to get renewed, not only we help the flora and the fauna, but we also help in the improvement in the quality of human life. Third, Earth's vitality and diversity is also conserved when we have a sustainable development. So in order to have sustainable development, what we can do is we can use the resources economically, minimize the destruction of natural resources. If we are cutting down a tree, we need to take care that we plant more and more trees, so that there is a balance which is created. And then we need to check on our personal attitude and practices. We all know that we take things for granted. We think that resources are available in plenty, and so we can use it as we like. But we need to know, whatever renewable resources we are using, everything has a particular limit. We cannot deny the fact that resources can become exhausted in any point of time. That's why sustainable development is very important. Last, we need to focus our attention not only in our personal attitude, but we need to educate the community, so that together we can make a difference, we can bring a change, and we are able to bring sustainable development in the environment, so that together we can make our planet a perfect place of living for all kinds of flora and fauna. Children, with that I end the lesson. I hope the lesson was informative to you.